Okay, I'm just checking to make sure if we are live. Okay, looks like we are live. Namaste and good morning, everyone. This is Sumit here. I'm a partner at SmartWealth.ai. A very warm welcome to all of you for this webinar for the launch of Sprint Thematic Stocks Portfolio. Thank you very much for taking the time on Sunday. We really appreciate it and we hope that you're going to find this useful. So along with me on this webinar, we have Pankaj. Pankaj is the founder of SmartWealth.ai and also the principal researcher. We are really excited to do this because this is the first time that we are launching a thematic portfolio, and also this is our first ever webinar. So please let us know what works and what can be improved so we can make this even more useful for you. And just to let you know about the structure of this webinar, we are going to have two main parts of this. So in the first part, Pankaj is going to make a short presentation, and in the second part, we are going to take questions and answers from you. So with that, I'll hand over to Pankaj. Pankaj, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thanks Sumit for introduction, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar on a Sunday morning. Really appreciate it. My name is Pankaj Singh. I'm the founder and principal researcher at SmartWealth.ai. We'll start with the presentation. To get started, I'm just going to share my screen. Sumit, if you can confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, Pankaj, we can see your
Okay.
screen.
Excellent. So, welcome again. This is a very special webinar for us. Today, we launch our Sprint Thematic Stocks portfolio. This is the latest and greatest in our model portfolio service. This is also special because it's the first webinar that we are doing from SmartWealth. I'll just pause here for a minute for you to see the disclaimers. I'm a SEBI registered research analyst. We offer model portfolios under the brand name of SmartWealth.ai. At the end of this presentation, if you have any questions which are still unanswered, please feel free to send those to us, reach out to us via email. You can also schedule one-to-one meeting with either Sumit or me. Our contact details are here. We are also fairly active on LinkedIn. At the bottom right, you see a QR code. By scanning that, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and stay tuned with the updates that we provide on LinkedIn. So let's get started. The agenda, like Sumit said, is a short presentation followed by Q&A. In the presentation, we will cover a brief introduction about SmartWealth.ai, since this is the first ever webinar we are doing, and a lot of people have interest in knowing about our product, our overall journey. Then we'll do a quick review of market, how market has performed in the last 12 months, to set a context of what has been going on in the market and how we've adapted to that. Some of you requested that in your registrations. Then to set the context for Sprint Thematic Stocks portfolio, we will review a few themes. We'll review the good, bad, ugly of the themes thematic investing, so as to identify opportunities and challenges, which is a useful context for our product discussion. Then we'll go through the product. Hopefully this will take about 30-40 minutes. We'll open up for Q&A. If you have any questions, please feel free to send those in the chats. Do not wait for the end. We will at the end go through all of them and answer as many as we can. So let's start with the first part about the SmartWealth.ai journey. I'm the founder. Like I said earlier, I have about 25 years experience across different industries. As an engineer from Bangalore University, I used to be a control systems developer in the automotive industry. As a finance MBA from ISB, I've worked across sectors as a business strategist, trying to accelerate their organic performance. And the last part in the wealth management industry. As a quantitative analyst, I'm a SEBI registered research analyst. We offer DIY model portfolios under the brand name of SmartWealth.ai. And our overall purpose as to why we really got started with this was my own experience as a working professional. I felt strong need to be able to accelerate my journey to financial independence, and I was deeply dissatisfied with the fragmented solutions I was able to find. And this was not just me. I think in general, all working professionals want to accelerate their journey, and what they find often is just fragmented solutions. So I thought I must solve this problem myself. And in that endeavor, what we have built is a diversified momentum investing framework. What it essentially does, it diminishes the risk in investing, and thereby amplifying the upside, the return over a longer period of time, and shortening the runway to financial independence. And how it does is essentially through 5 layers of diversification that are meant to serve 4 types of investor personas, and we serve them using 3 strategic pillars. So 543 is what DMI is all about. So let's see what is the first part of this DMI framework. The first part is really 5 layers of diversification. So our philosophy is, if we manage risk, the returns will automatically take care of itself. So really, we are so focused on risk management that is our first pillar, the first part of this framework. So our portfolios are diversified across sectors, across market capitalization levels, across investment themes, across even asset classes. While equity is the fastest growing asset class, when needed, we diversify into other asset classes like debt and gold. And no matter how robust your strategy is, every strategy will have periods of ups and downs. So we also diversify across strategies, and this is very unintuitive for most investors, that one must programmatically diversify across strategies. So we our frameworks collectively take care of diversification across all these 5 levels. So sectors, market capitalization levels, themes, asset classes, and strategies. The second part is, how does it connect with the investors? So we see the journey of an investor from the start of investing till the point they become financially independent. We see this journey in 4 parts. The first part is when they are primarily savers. They've some income source, they've started saving, they want to invest. So that is where we help them get started. We provide them a range of options where they can experiment. We can try them out and figure out which of them works the best. That's the approach for the first stage. The second stage is sprint. This is when people have got started. Maybe they have got some experience with different ways of investing. They have developed a preference, and now they want to accelerate. They also have a little bit sense ki thoda time waste ho gaya hai, abhi catch up karna hai. So that is the second stage, sprint. The third stage is a mid-stage investor, somewhere in their, let's say, 35 to 45, 55 age bracket. They have made multiple investments, they have very fragmented investments, and now they're getting burnt out. They are very busy at work, they're very busy with family, they are also getting busy with wealth management. So they want to consolidate, simplify, set a larger corpus in motion. That is endurance stage. The last stage is triumph, which is when they've built a large enough corpus. That corpus, at some, their prevailing growth rate, can take care of their running expenses, but they still want to diversify smartly and continue to beat the market. So that for us is triumph stage. So we've consciously thought about the needs of each of these 4 stages: aspire, sprint, endurance, and triumph. And we work backwards to design a overall basket of offerings. Coming to the last part, which is our core strategic portfolios, the core strategic pillars of DMI. So we have stock portfolios, we have assets portfolios, and factors portfolios. So as the name suggests, stocks portfolios try to participate in the stock segment, via cash segment, and form a diversified portfolios of stocks. We have 2 stocks portfolios. The assets portfolio is for those who want to participate in the market but don't want to touch stocks directly. So they can participate via asset indexes. So gold index, debt index, and equity index. So operating only at the index level, but dynamically. So participate in the assets that are performing well, and thereby control your risk in a low effort, low churn, low risk manner. The third is factors portfolio. So there is a very famous French and pharma model which has 5 factors portfolio. There's alpha, there's beta, there's value, quality, momentum. So this it's the same market but different way of looking at the market. So we can participate, investors can participate, and we help them participate in the market by way of factors. So they can choose what factor exposures, rather, this model helps them choose what factors exposure they want. When the market is in a bull run, alpha factors does very well. When it goes to risk off period, then low volatility factor does very well. And when it is in an active state of shock or crisis, then gold does very well. So it really tries to dynamically help them participate in alpha, low volatility factors. And if needed, it has a gold hedge as well. So really, those are the 3 factors. And today we are here for thematic stocks portfolio. This is our addition under stocks portfolio. So far, what we have is a diversified portfolio. And at the end of today, we'll also have thematic stocks portfolio. So that is really our journey. I'll take a moment to also summarize for our audience who want it in Hindi. So हमारा ओवरऑल अप्रोच ये है कि जो वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स हैं उनको फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस के पॉइंट तक पहुंचने में मदद की जाए ताकि वो वहां जल्दी पहुंच सकें। और इस एंडेवर में, इस कोशिश में हमने ये डीएमआई फ्रेमवर्क बनाया है। डीएमआई फ्रेमवर्क करता यह है कि वो रिस्क को कम करने की कोशिश करता है, ताकि अगर आप रिस्क कम करेंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली रिटर्न्स बढ़ जाएंगे, और अगर आप रिस्क को मैनेज करेंगे, रिटर्न एम्पलीफाई होगा, तो आपकी जो भी डेस्टिनेशन है वहां आप जल्दी पहुंचेंगे। तो इसको हम कहते हैं एक्सेलरेटेड फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस। सो आपका एक गोल है, आपके पास एज एन इन्वेस्टर 10-20 साल का टाइम होता है, आप उसको कैसे कम कर सकते हैं, उसको करने का तरीका यही है, आप रिस्क मैनेज कीजिए। रिस्क मैनेज करेंगे तो रिटर्न बढ़ेगा और आपकी जर्नी शॉर्ट होगी। और ये करने के लिए हमने 5-4-3 का हमारा फ्रेमवर्क है। तो 5 तरह की डाइवर्सिफिकेशन पॉसिबल है हमारे फ्रेमवर्क में। आप सेक्टर के अक्रॉस डाइवर्सिफाई कर सकते हैं, मार्केट कैप के अक्रॉस कर सकते हैं, थीम्स के अक्रॉस कर सकते हैं। और जबकि सबसे ज्यादा ग्रोथ रेट इक्विटी में होता है, लेकिन ऐसे ऐसे टाइम पीरियड आते हैं जब इक्विटी में ग्रोथ नहीं मिल रही होती है, वो क्रैश में हो रहे होते हैं, साइडवेज हो रहे होते हैं। और अगर हमें जो रिगरस क्राइटेरिया है उससे स्टॉक्स ना मिले, तो हम बाकी एसेट क्लासेस में भी डाइवर्सिफाई कर सकते हैं। सो जब जरूरत पड़े तो डेट में जा सकते हैं, जब क्राइसिस हो रही हो इक्विटी में तो हम गोल्ड से हेज लगा सकते हैं। और हमारे स्टॉक्स, एसेट्स और फैक्टर्स पोर्टफोलियो हैं, तीनों की अपनी स्ट्रेंथ्स हैं, अपने अपने लिमिटेशंस भी हैं। तो आप इनको कंबाइन भी कर सकते हैं। तो दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज स्ट्रेटजी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन, एंड वी डू दैट बाय कॉम्बिनेशंस। हम एक इन्वेस्टर की जर्नी को शुरू से अंत तक, इस जर्नी को 4 पार्ट में देखते हैं। पहला पार्ट है एस्पायर। जब आप शुरू करना चाहते हैं, आपको पता नहीं कैसे किया जाए, आप कई सारी चीजें सैंपल करना चाहते हैं ताकि आपको पता लगे कि कौन सी चीज कैसे बिहेव करती है। और जब आप शुरू हो चुके हैं और आपको थोड़ा समझ में आ गया है कि अच्छा ये चीज मुझे पसंद है, ये नहीं है, तो तब आती है सेकंड स्टेज। तब आपको लगता है कि भैया ये ही करना है, लेकिन इसको अब कैसे तेज किया जाए। तो वो है सेकंड स्टेज, वो है स्प्रिंट। और यहाँ पे नीड है आपकी एक्सेलरेशन, तो वो सेकंड स्टेज है, इसके लिए भी हमने पोर्टफोलियोज बनाए हैं। तीसरी स्टेज है जहाँ आपके कई सारे छोटे छोटे इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हो चुके हैं और आपको लगता है कि बहुत टाइम जा रहा है इसमें, छोटे छोटे कई सारे हैं, इसमें कुछ परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, सब में टाइम जा रहा है, और थोड़ा कंसोलिडेशन की नीड आती है। वो है तीसरी स्टेज, एंड्योरेंस। इसके लिए हमने पोर्टफोलियो कॉम्बिनेशंस बनाए हैं। द लास्ट स्टेज इज ट्रायम्फ। यहाँ पे आपका कॉर्पस इतना बड़ा हो चुका है, लेकिन आप फिर भी उसको जितना तेजी से पॉसिबल हो उतना करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन रिस्क को कंट्रोल करना चाहते हैं कि स्मार्ट डाइवर्सिफिकेशन किया जाए। तो वो हमारे लिए फोर्थ स्टेज है। और हमारी ओवरऑल ऑफरिंग है, 3 तरह की ऑफरिंग्स हैं: स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो, एसेट्स पोर्टफोलियो और फैक्टर्स पोर्टफोलियो। सो स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो में हम डाइवर्सिफाइड स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो बनाते हैं जो अक्रॉस द सेक्टर, अक्रॉस मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन लेवल, अक्रॉस इन्वेस्टमेंट थीम्स उसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया जाए। एसेट पोर्टफोलियो उनके लिए है जो स्टॉक्स में नहीं जाना चाहते हैं फिर भी मार्केट में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं, तो इसमें हम ईटीएफ से पोर्टफोलियो बनाते हैं और इसमें इंडेक्स पे ही रहते हैं, स्टॉक लेवल पे नहीं जाते हैं। तो इक्विटी के इंडेक्सेस होते हैं, इसमें गोल्ड का इंडेक्स होता है, डेट का इंडेक्स होता है, उन्हीं को डायनामिकली कंबाइन किया जाता है, रोटेट किया जाता है, ताकि आप रिस्क को मिटिगेट कर सकें, क्रैश लाइक सिचुएशन को थोड़ा अवॉइड कर सकें और रिस्क एडजस्टेड रिटर्न को बढ़ाते रहें इन कम टाइम लगा के। इतने ज्यादा इसमें सिक्योरिटीज नहीं होती हैं, कम होती हैं, तो कम रीबैलेंस होता है, फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ रीबैलेंसिंग कम होती है। तो उनके लिए है जो स्टॉक्स नहीं जाना चाहते हैं, कम एफर्ट में कम रिस्क में मार्केट को बीट करना चाहते हैं और अपनी जर्नी एक्सेलरेट करना चाहते हैं। तीसरा तरीका है फैक्टर्स। सो फाइनेंस वर्ल्ड में फैक्टर्स नाम की चीज होती है जैसे कि आपने भी सुना होगा, वैल्यू, क्वालिटी, मोमेंटम, अल्फा, बीटा। तो ये पांच बहुत पॉपुलर फैक्टर्स हैं और पांचों का अपना अपना इन्वेस्टमेंट फिलॉसफी है, अलग है एक दूसरे से। सो हम वो फैक्टर्स एक्सपोजर को रेगुलेट करते हैं डायनामिकली एल्गोरिथम से, और उस वो पोर्टफोलियो तीसरा है। और आज की लॉन्च में हम स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो के अंदर एक एडिशन करने जा रहे हैं जो हमने अभी तक किया है पिछले 3 साल से, वो है डाइवर्सिफाइड स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो। और आज हम उसमें एक नया फ्लेवर ऐड कर रहे हैं, थीमेटिक स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो। सो with that, let me move a little forward and share our journey with you. So ये जो आपने डीएमआई फ्रेमवर्क देखा है, ये ग्रेजुअली इवॉल्व हुआ है पिछले 3 साढ़े 3 4 साल में। जब हम जब हमने शुरू किया दिसंबर 2021 में, we started with diversified stocks portfolio. So that is our mainstay, our most popular offering on small case. The second addition, the second part to our addition to the portfolio was in February 2023. So जो एसेट्स पोर्टफोलियो मैंने बताया, ये फरवरी में 2023 में लॉन्च किया गया और इससे हमें एक यूनिक एबिलिटी मिली। एक तो वो है जो एसेट्स में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं, एक वो भी है जो इन दोनों में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन दोनों को सब्सक्राइब करने के बजाय वो एक में ही मिल जाए और स्मार्टली कंबाइन हो जाए। तो वो एक नीड थी, वो हमने बनाया। पोर्टफोलियो कॉम्बिनेशंस इज अ पेयर्ड स्ट्रेटजी पोर्टफोलियो। व्हाट इट डज is it combines stocks portfolio and assets portfolio dynamically. So based on regime, it determines कि अभी stocks में ज्यादा किया जाए कि assets में ज्यादा किया जाए। When the market is bullish, it will allocate more towards stocks portfolio and less to assets. When the market is bearish, it will allocate more to assets portfolio and stocks portfolio. It's a very smart way of diversifying across strategies without having to manage two separate small cases. And not only two separate small cases, also the ability to determine कि किसमें कैसा exposure किया जाए. So all that is done dynamically by this portfolio combination. This is a two-in-one combination. This is available under endurance family or endurance persona. The third stage was November 2024. We added factors portfolio, and by adding this, our combination ability enhanced significantly. So we built this enhanced combination portfolio. It has the intelligent ability to diversify across stocks portfolio and assets portfolio and factors portfolio. It does this dynamically, and it's a very smart way to regulate your risk, to actually minimize your risk across all of what we offer. The least risk is in multi-strategy portfolio because it gives you a range of choices. जब आपको फास्ट बॉलर चाहिए तो फास्ट बॉलर मिलेगा, जब आपको स्पिन का टाइम है तो स्पिनर मिलेगा, और इस टाइप की चॉइसेस से आप अपने ओवरऑल पोर्टफोलियो को काफी रेगुलेट कर सकते हैं, रिस्क एडजस्टेड रिटर्न मैक्सिमाइज करने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं। द लास्ट पार्ट विच इज टुडे, सो टुडे वी आर एडिंग थीमेटिक स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो. दिस इज द लेटेस्ट एंड ग्रेटेस्ट. दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी यूनिक इन द सेंस दैट अभी तक हमने जो भी किया है वो डाइवर्सिफाइड है. So the focus was let's diversify as much as possible. हमारे 5 layers of diversification है, कई जगह 3 पॉसिबल है हम 3 करते हैं, कई जगह 4 पॉसिबल है 4 करते हैं, कई जगह 5 पॉसिबल है हम 5 करते हैं. So this is a new addition, thematic. So there is a lot of interest in the investors to participate in themes. जैसे ग्रीन एनर्जी थीम बहुत पॉपुलर है, डिफेंस थीम बहुत पॉपुलर है, बीच में कमोडिटी थीम काफी पॉपुलर था. सो उन थीमेटिक में इन्वेस्टिंग में पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए बनाया है. उनमें कई चैलेंजेस हैं आज की इन्वेस्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क और फिलॉसफी में. उनको हमने समझ के मिटिगेट करके ये पोर्टफोलियो बनाया है। इसके बारे में हम थोड़ा डिटेल में भी डिस्कस करेंगे। लेकिन before we go to sprint thematic stocks portfolio, let's review the market. Many of you requested, let's review the market and see what's going on. So the first part is market. The second part is how our portfolios are adapting to the market. We'll quickly review that. So this is a quick snapshot of the last 1 year. On the right side, you see charts. The major headline of last 1 year, as all of you would be aware, is that gold has had a spectacular run. It's one of the exceptional periods for gold, very rare period for gold. In the last 1 year, gold has grown by almost 30%. And what has happened to equity? Equity has had a very turbulent, dynamic period. It had a decline. It was rallying last year after election from June to September. Then September, May, it hit a little bit of a roadblock. We got soft results. Then it declined. It kept declining until March of this year, and then there's been bounce back. Overall, if you see the 12 months period, it's somewhat flat. All if you cut it by capitalization levels, small cap or large cap are almost flat but slightly positive. Mid cap has done slightly better than others, about 3.5%. Small cap and large cap slightly under 1, but better than 0. If you look at equity market by factors, nearly all of the factors are underwater. They've delivered negative return over the last 1 year. Only factor that has done better than others is low vol. Overall, we see 3 inflection points. So the first inflection point was September. तो सितंबर तक मार्केट ग्रो हो रहा था. जून में इलेक्शन रिजल्ट्स आए थे. ओवरऑल देयर वाज पॉजिटिविटी एंड मार्केट रैलीड अ बिट. So when the September quarter results were announced, from that the softening started. That's the first point. The second point is up to March. The market kept softening, declining, and it found some support in March, and the March results were encouraging. And from that time onwards, the equity markets started recovering. The third inflection point is कि अभी तक gold was consistently rising. So third point is somewhere in April when gold actually hit a resistance, and from that it has saturated. So now we are in a stage where equity has seen a bit of consolidation, but it has started recovering last few months, a quarter, little more than a quarter. Gold was rallying, gold has saturated. So it is pointing to greater investability in equities. वो फेज में हम आ चुके हैं कि equities have become investable again. So that is the overall scenario. And if you really cut a little bit deeper, you will see what is not shown on the chart, but those who are active in the market will appreciate this कि इसमें इस पीरियड में कोई भी ऐसा सिंगल थीम नहीं था जो पूरे 12 महीने चला हो. There was time when infrastructure was running. There was time when PSU was running. There was time when banks were running. There was time when defense and green energy were running. There were also times when all of these were crashing. So it was a very fast theme rotation, and this led to our appreciation कि यार ये बहुत बड़ी नीड है इन्वेस्टर्स की कि थीमेटिक चाहिए, लेकिन उसके ड्रॉबैक्स जो उसके चैलेंजेस हैं उसको कैसे मिटिगेट किया जाए. So that is where we drew our motivation from. But before we go to thematic portfolio, let's just stay focused on the mega trend, these 3 inflection points. Equity rallying but hitting resistance and starting to decline. Then it finding its support in March and bouncing back. Then gold hitting a resistance in April. Just let's stay focused on this. So how have our portfolio adapted to this? So this is basically showing a very high level allocation summary across our portfolio. We have stocks portfolio at top, ETFs at bottom, combination in the right. So जब equity में pressure था, equity came under pressure in September. It remained under pressure until March. If you see just at that point, our algorithms had dynamically determined कि gold में exposure बढ़ाना है, and we were more predominantly exposed to gold, allocated to gold across all strategies. So आप stocks में जाइए या ETF में जाइए, assets में जाइए, factor में जाइए, combination में कहीं भी जाइए, overall the need was very strong कि this is the time to diversify from equities and hedge against the risk in equity. The gold hedge was activated, and very effectively we mitigated the drawdowns across all product portfolios. Not only we mitigated the drawdown, which helped in controlling volatility and drawdown, the depth and duration, it actually enhanced our returns. So that is the value of diversification. That is how our diversified momentum investing actually helps. Um, and now, when equities are back in action, our algorithms have dynamically shifted back to equity. So while we see, majority exposure across equity, there's a nuance on how each portfolio responds and goes after equity opportunity in a slightly different manner. So there are factors which will try to enhance equity participation. Why are the factors that are performing well? So alpha low vol in assets, we may try to participate via as a broad-based indexes. In stocks, we will find stocks that are diversified across sectors, themes, and market capitalization levels wherever we see momentum, and then of course combinations. You can see in combinations dynamically. At the start of the this financial year, most of the allocation was to assets and less to stocks, and now we are back in stocks again. So really, this is a quick summarization of how our portfolios, our algorithms dynamically adapt to the regime, and very smartly they help you mitigate the risk, as by way of controlling volatility, depth, and duration of drawdown, but also thereby help you accelerate your journey. So now, the most important part, the start of this show, themes discussion. So themes discussion में जाने के पहले, हमारे थीमेटिक पोर्टफोलियो में जाने के पहले एक बार थीम्स को समझते हैं, थीम्स कैसे बिहेव करते हैं. तो हमने थोड़ा बहुत अपने मार्केट रिव्यू में देखा है, मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन लेवल्स और फैक्टर्स. अब थोड़ा थीम्स को डिटेल में समझते हैं. इसको समझने के लिए हमने कुछ 10 के आसपास थीम्स की हिस्ट्री एनालाइज की है. We'll go through all those 10 themes one by one. But just to set the context, remember, as an investor, you are interested in accelerating your journey. You would like stable growth. You would like higher growth, if possible. You would like smaller, shorter drawdowns, minimize as much as possible. And with that goal in mind, let's just review all the themes. After we've seen the themes, then we'll take a pause and summarize. So while we're going through the themes, just keep the investor hat on कि मुझे accelerate करना है और drawdown minimize करना है, short और shallow होना चाहिए. If you can avoid altogether, great. But उस एंगल से इसको थोड़ा देखते हैं. So पहला सेक्टर IT, it is one of the star performers of Indian industry. It has had an exorbitant growth rate of 22% CAGR across 3 decades. It is exemplary growth. But even then, it has had a challenging period where it actually crashed by 85% around Y2K, and it took more than a decade, 13 years to actually recover. So as an investor, you have to ask yourself, अगर मैं एक single theme investor होता, and if I was invested in IT, how would I deal with that period? आप 2008, 2000 या उसके पहले आपने इन्वेस्ट किया है. Now Y2K has occurred. And you seen crash. Now you don't know ये अभी एक हफ्ते में करेक्ट होगा या एक महीने में होगा, एक साल में होगा, एक कितने 5 साल में होगा, पता ही नहीं आपको. So how will you deal with that situation? That is the crux of thematic investing problem. और आप उस समय करोगे क्या? तो obviously if this theme is not performing, you want to move somewhere else, but वो प्रोसेस कैसे मैनेज करोगे, ये आप इसके बारे में सोचिए. So this is IT. Similar issue with banks. Exemplary performance, 16% CAGR over more than 2 decades, 25 plus years. Great growth, but it has had a period where it fell by 60%. It took nearly 5-6 years to recover. तो 5-6 साल का flat period है. तो आप क्या करोगे? Small cap, it is extremely popular with investors and traders. Exemplary growth rate, 15% CAGR, much higher than market average. But it has had 2 dramatic crashes. 75% crash, took it 13 years to recover, and then 60% crash, and as a result it was flat for 5 years. So similar issue across capitalization level based investing. Energy, again 15% CAGR, better than market average, but significant crash and flat for more than a decade. FMCG, one of the most stable compounders in India, and not only in India, across the world. Even visually, you can see it has a very low volatility, very steady growth, continues to beat the market in a very reliable manner most of the time. Yet, it had a 6 year period of no growth. Actually, not just no growth, a decline which took 6 years to recover. Uh, so, uh, so we've seen great examples, good examples. Let's see some challenging examples. Pharma is a lifeblood of overall industry. One of the very few sectors that were actually rising, even when COVID crash occurred. And not only it was rising, it actually helped to bring population back into safety. 13.6% CAGR, better than market average, and yet it has had pretty significant crash and flat for 8 years. Now, some of the more challenging sectors, media, it has had two large crashes of 75%, 70% drops. And if you see the lifetime CAGR, it's nearly flat. Like there was very little growth, and for 2 decades, it has not delivered value. If you had invested at the start to now, you would not even beat the market. Of course, there are bits and pieces in between which make a lot of sense. So, for instance, 2009 to 2018 is a great period. I would love to participate in that, but not stay on. So that gives us some food for thought. Is there a way to participate in the market in a certain theme only when it makes sense, and not bear the brunt of everything that the theme will experience? Reality, again, a very challenging sector. Actually, it has remained flat in its entire lifetime. So that is 18 years flat the entire lifetime. And those who had invested at the peak of 2008, they experienced 92% crash. And actually, even till date, it has not recovered from that crash. So it's in its entire lifetime, it is flat, and those who had invested, in 2007-8 period, they have not recovered their money yet. So I don't want to scare you, but there is opportunity, but there are also challenges. So let's just kind of take a step back and summarize. But before we summarize, let's just see, there is a lot of hype around new themes. Defense is hot, digital is hot, EV is hot. In the last 12 to 24 months, there are a lot of themes that have been announced. If you would actually start looking at the data, it's just too little data to see have they done well, will they do well. So not enough data to analyze and really come up with a coherent strategy. But we need to reflect upon and learn from all the themes, and kind of have an approach that will maximize our chances to participate in the opportunity, minimize the exposure to challenges. So let's take a step back, and let's start from the context. Context is, I'm an investor. I may have 10 to 20 years, even the best case, to become financially independent. And themes are great. Most of them there are a large number of them that beat the market, but they suffer long and deep drawdown. And if the drawdown is 5, 10, 15 years long, and your journey is only 10 to 20 years, मतलब आपका पूरा आपकी जर्नी का काफी ज्यादा बड़ा पार्ट इन ड्रॉडाउन में अटक सकता है. There's a very real problem. Therefore, while thematic investing is great, there is a need to rotate the themes. Participate in the themes and when it makes sense. When they are not performing, then at least rotate and move somewhere else, which other theme which may be performing. So that is really the crux. So a smart way of investing in themes is by way of theme rotation, not just like, staying invested in one or multiple in a static way. The challenge as an investor is that just too many themes. वो सेलेक्ट करना ही इतना ओवरवेलमिंग प्रोसेस है, कंफ्यूजिंग प्रोसेस है. आपको कैसे समझ में आएगा, कैसे आप अपनी प्रोसेस को टाइट करेंगे ये समझने के लिए कि किसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया जाए, किसमें ना किया जाए. दूसरा प्रॉब्लम कि कब पार्टिसिपेट करना है, कब नहीं करना है, ये टाइमिंग बहुत डिफिकल्ट चीज है. मैन्युअली करना बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट चीज है. तीसरी चीज, अगर आप एक थीम में पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, जब वो परफॉर्म कर रहा है, और जब वो परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा है आप दूसरे में जाना चाहते हैं, तो आप ये डाइवर्सिफिकेशन प्रोसेस कैसे मैनेज करेंगे? दिस इज अ वेरी टाइम कंज्यूमिंग, एफर्ट इंटेंसिव process, and yet this is not obvious, not always obvious. So how do you manage in a diverse, how do you diversify your investments across things? If you're a thematic investor, that process is non-trivial, and very very often सिलेक्शन ऑफ थीम, डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ थीम्स, टाइमिंग, ये प्रोसेस करने में आपका ह्यूमन बायस और इमोशन आपकी एबिलिटी को हिंडर करता है. सो दिस बायस एंड इमोशन इज नॉट ऑलवेज योर फ्रेंड. While it is necessary for our survival and our instincts, which have saved us for millions of years, this is not always our friend. So that is the problem that we solve. So thematic investing is great, but single theme investing has got challenges because it can have deep long drawdown. Thematic rotation, theme rotation is one very practical way of overcoming the problems. So continue to capture the opportunity and as much as possible mitigate the challenges. But there are too many themes. So how do we do it? That's the motivation for us. So with that, let me talk a little bit about Sprint thematic stocks portfolio. We'll go through what's the universe, how to shortlist, how rotation works, overall system design. We also have a launch offer for a limited period. We'll walk you through that. So let's start with the first one, the universe. NAC के वेबसाइट पे आप देख सकते हैं www.niftyindices.com. 4 तरह के इंडेक्स होते हैं: ब्रॉड बेस इंडेक्स, सेक्टोरल इंडेक्स, थीमेटिक इंडेक्स, स्ट्रेटजी इंडेक्स. तो ये चारों कैटेगरीज का टोटल जो है ये हमारा यूनिवर्स है. हम इसके अंदर ऑपरेट कर देंगे. So while we say thematic, it is theme, sectors, strategy, broad base, सब तरह के इंडेक्सेस को देखेंगे. The second step is we will go through each of them one by one and identify the themes or sectors or indexes in general that are unique, that are uncorrelated to each other. From 100 plus indexes, we'll narrow down to 10 to 20 indexes. So, for instance, if we have to see broad base के अंदर small cap, large cap, mid cap, micro cap, इस टाइप के indexes रहते हैं. Strategy indexes के अंदर alpha, quality, value, लो वॉल, इस टाइप के इंडेक्सेस रहते हैं. इसके कई सारे डेरिवेटिव्स या नुआंस्ड वर्जन्स भी रहते हैं. तीसरा सेक्टोरल, बैंक्स, फार्मा, एफएमसीजी, आईटी, मेटल, केमिकल्स, इस तरह के सेक्टर्स रहते हैं. इज ऑब्वियस. थीमेटिक इज वेयर a theme may cut across several sectors. Defense as a sector may have metal, chemical, technology, logistics, all of those things under it. So that is how a theme is constructed. So defense, energy, manufacturing, railways, there are many other themes, mobility, electric vehicles and things like that. So ये चारों के यूनिवर्स को एनालाइज करके, कोरिलेशन एनालिसिस करके वो 10-20 थीम्स या इंडेक्सेस को आइडेंटिफाई किया जाता है जो यूनिक हैं, एक दूसरे से अनकोरिलेटेड हैं. इसके बाद ये आता है theme rotation. So let's see how theme rotation works. So theme rotation is essentially about selecting three. So 100 में से 3 select करने की process rotation है. So we've already narrowed down that universe from 100 to 10 to 20 range. And in that, at the end of every month, we look at the recent price momentum based on which we identify the top, the indexes with highest momentum. We also analyze other filters such as volatility filter, regime filter. So देखते हैं कि ये कौन से इसका regime bull regime है कि bear regime है, इसकी volatility कितनी है. इस सब के बेसिस पे हम 2 पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है. एक है हाईएस्ट मोमेंटम को लिया जाए, दूसरा ये भी है स्टेबिलिटी भी चाहिए. सो छोटे छोटे गेम्स के लिए हम उसको बदलना नहीं चाहते. So stability, in other words, is persistence. So we want the holdings to persist as long as there is a case to continue with them. And if the case is not strong, then we look at the index with best momentum. जो स्लॉट खाली होता है उस समय हम देखते हैं कि सबसे अच्छा अवेलेबल थीम कौन सा है, उससे फिल किया जाता है. तो यहाँ 6 सिनारियो है, ये किसी पर्टिकुलर ऑर्डर में नहीं है, बट दिस काइंड ऑफ शोज कि 4 तरह के इंडेक्सेस होते हैं, 4 कैटेगरीज हैं: थीमेटिक, सेक्टोरल, स्ट्रेटजी, ब्रॉड बेस. ऐसा हो सकता है कि तीनों इंडेक्स थीमेटिक के ही हो, तीनों सेक्टोरल हो सकते हैं, स्ट्रेटजी या ब्रॉड बेस के हो सकते हैं. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि हम 2 थीमेटिक लें, 1 सेक्टर लें, या 1 थीमेटिक लें, 2 सेक्टर लें, या किसी भी कॉम्बिनेशन में इसको लिया जाए, या तीनों अलग अलग हो, एक थीमेटिक, एक सेक्टोरल, एक स्ट्रेटेजिक. So all the combinations are possible. We will use data, 100% data driven approach. We do not bring in any of our human biases or emotions or even subjective point of view into this process. So we've got the universe. We shortlisted the universe to uncorrelated 10 to 20 indexes. Then we use momentum and principles of momentum and persistence to identify which three should participate. इतना करने के बाद आपने यूनिवर्स डिफाइन करके शॉर्टलिस्ट कर लिया, नैरो कर लिया, और उसके बाद शॉर्टलिस्ट भी कर लिया. आप अभी इस स्टेज में हैं कि आपने 3 इंडेक्स आइडेंटिफाई कर लिए, 3 थीम सेक्टर्स आइडेंटिफाई कर लिए कि इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करना है. अब इससे स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो कैसे बनेगा, वो है नेक्स्ट स्टेज, वो दैट्स द लास्ट एंड फाइनल स्टेज. So let's just see overall design now and see how a step-by-step process of building the portfolio looks like. So goal हमारा बहुत सिंपल है. गोल है कि जो इन्वेस्टर्स थीमेटिक इन्वेस्टिंग में इंटरेस्टेड हैं, we have to help them avoid remaining stuck in deep long drawdowns. That is our single point goal. And because if you solve for that, everything else growth will automatically take care of itself. So वो हमारा अप्रोच है. हम 3 थीम्स में पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं 100 के यूनिवर्स से. So it's really logically concentrated. It's a high risk approach, suitable only for those that have high risk appetite, also who have a longer term view. So 3 से 5 साल horizon आपको चाहिए अगर आप इस तरह के इन्वेस्टमेंट में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं. Do not expect performance in short term. It may come, it may not come. So, but we solve for 3 to 5 year horizon. The first step is universe definition. We saw that. Second step is index selection. We saw that. Correlation check, momentum check, risk control, and balancing momentum with persistence. The last part, आपने 3 थीम सेलेक्ट कर लिए, अब उससे 15 स्टॉक का पोर्टफोलियो कैसे बनेगा. So we will identify 5 stocks in each of those 3 themes. We will look at the entire index membership. कौन कौन से स्टॉक्स उस इंडेक्स के अंदर आते हैं, उसमें से कौन से वो स्टॉक्स हैं जिनकी लिक्विडिटी अच्छी है, जिनका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड लंबा है, उन स्टॉक्स को लिया जाएगा. और उसके बाद एक इक्वल एलोकेशन फिलॉसफी में हम एलोकेट करेंगे. सो वी विल हैव 15 स्टॉक्स, विल एलोकेट इक्वली at the end of the month. If they deviate a little bit, not too much, we will tolerate the deviation unless is too much. And we review it every month. Actually, it's the last week, the last Thursday of every month. So actually, from an investor perspective, that's the time you'll get a rebalance. And that is also the time, those are ideal times for you to invest more. As soon as you refresh the portfolio, you can add more. That's an ideal SIP rhythm. We recommend investing up to 25 lakhs. So that's the limit we recommend. Is largely based on analysis of liquidity and so on. With that, I'm very happy to present to you a Sprint Thematic Stocks portfolio. We have offer a promo code, a limited time promo code with which you can avail a 25% discount. The link of this portfolio as well as this code will be shared in your chat windows. So I really encourage you to make use of this offer. It's a limited time offer, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. You will also see our contact details on the chat window. In case there are any questions that you would like a longer context, you can send us email. We can also set up one-to-one Google meeting at the time of your convenience. There's a scheduler link where you can connect with Sumit and I. On the right, there is a QR code. Using this, you can, by scanning this, you can connect to me on LinkedIn if you're interested. So I really encourage you to make use of this this launch offer, a limited time launch offer. Now I'll take a pause and open this for questions. So Sumit, back to you. If you have any questions, we can take those.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Pankaj. So, first of all, Sai, Teja, and Abhishek have said hello. Okay, hello, back to you. There's a question from Mayur. He's asking, I think you have already answered it a little bit, but maybe you can just reinforce. What is the difference between a thematic portfolio versus Aspire diversified stocks portfolio, as both are momentum-based portfolios?
Right.
So what exactly is the difference?
Great question. Thanks for asking, Mayur. So both are momentum. See, momentum is a tool. Now you can use that tool for in a slightly different way to solve different problems. So हम diversified stocks portfolio में क्या करते हैं? हमारा core philosophy है diversification. So diversification across sectors, across market capitalization levels and across themes. वो 3 level of diversification minimum है. यानी कि वहां पे हम कभी ये क्राइटेरिया नहीं लगाते कि ये इस थीम में नेसेसरली होना चाहिए. यहां पे भी अगर अनकंस्ट्रेन्ड अगर प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करेंगे, जहां पे भी मोमेंटम मिलेगा वो ले लेंगे हम वहां पे. दैट इज द अप्रोच टू एस्पायर डाइवर्सिफाइड स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो. सिमिलर अप्रोच फॉर स्प्रिंट डाइवर्सिफाइड स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो ऑल्सो. द मेन डिफरेंस बिटवीन एस्पायर एंड स्प्रिंट इज एस्पायर डाइवर्सिफाइड स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो हैज 5 stocks with diversification and hedging. Sprint diversified stocks portfolio is a 30 stocks portfolio with diversification and hedging. Now, what does thematic do differently? थीमेटिक में अप्रोच बहुत क्लियर है कि थीम इज द गाइडिंग प्रिंसिपल. सो वाइल डाइवर्सिफिकेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, दिस इज स्लाइटली डिफरेंट वे ऑफ इन्वेस्टिंग इन द सेंस कि हम पहले थीम आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं कि बेस्ट थीम कौन से हैं, फिर बोलते हैं कि अब इन थीम में पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए स्टॉक्स ढूंढते हैं. तो यहां थोड़ा सा अप्रोच अलग है. और यहां पे एक चीज है कि by design we limit the thematic exposure. So while it has three, there is diversity, that three is also diversification, but it is not unconstrained across all themes. It is identified across those three themes only. उसमें हमारा है वो 4 कैटेगरीज हैं, उसके अंदर 100 इंडेक्सेस हैं, उसमें 10-20 आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं. उस 10-20 के अंदर से 3 आइडेंटिफाई लॉक किया जाता है. उन 3 थीम्स से 15 स्टॉक्स का पोर्टफोलियो बनता है. दीज आर द 2 डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस. सो व्हेन यू एक्चुअली एनालाइज, these two will yield uncorrelated results. While it's the same stock market, same stocks universe, this way of approaching versus this way of other way of approaching will produce 2 equity curves which are uncorrelated. And as a result, the overall, if an investor uses both of these, then they'll have much lower volatility and much better risk-adjusted return possibility.
Okay. Thanks, Pankaj. Mr. Gopal Rao says, great going. Thank you, sir. Okay, so if you have questions, you can please type them in chat and we can take it up. In the meantime, I can take some questions that we got as a part of webinar registration.
Yeah.
So, okay, one question we got, Pankaj, was about, can you share some details about backtesting and hedging for Sprint Thematic stocks portfolio?
Right. So backtesting and hedging, great question. So let's compare sprint thematic versus sprint diversified. So diversified portfolio has 30 stocks. So it is a broad portfolio. That is one thing about its design. The second thing about its design is it's diversified across themes. Now, if you compare the sprint thematic versus that, it's a 15 stocks portfolio. So it's a little bit narrower and more concentrated than diversified portfolio in terms of sheer numbers. The second thing is, even in terms of themes, it is 3 themes versus unlimited themes, right? Versus 100. So 3 versus 100. So it's really, it is going to be more volatile than sprint diversified. But it is also, it has a possibility for growth acceleration over a longer period of time. So just comparing the design, it is greater volatility, but also possibility of a greater return over a long-term horizon. Hedging, about the question of hedging, in diversified stocks portfolio, it has the ability to diversify to debt and gold, whereas in thematic stocks portfolio, we remain 100% committed to equity. Even if equity is going through a decline, we'll choose the best 3 and stay invested in that and not move to debt and gold. So those are the 3 main differences, and that 30 versus 15 stocks, then all themes versus 3 themes, and diversification into other asset classes versus no diversification, and that will give you a little bit greater risk and possibility of a greater return. So it's really for those who are aggressive risk takers.
Okay. The next one that we have, Pankaj, is this a concentrated portfolio?
So it is a concentrated relative to sprint diversified. It is more concentrated. So sprint diversified has 30 stocks. Sprint thematics will have 15 stocks. So it is more concentrated compared to sprint diversified. But if you are Aspire diversified stocks portfolio subscriber. Aspire has a 5 stocks portfolio. So compared to Aspire diversified stocks portfolio, you will see this is more diversified, more concentrated. Less concentrated and a little bit more broader. So depends. So it's somewhere in between our Aspire diversified and Sprint diversified.
Okay. And one question that we got was, how will you handle the new themes which don't have a lot of historical data? Because for momentum, there's data required for analysis. So
Yeah. So that's a great question again. So wherever is a it's a real constraint or a barrier to thematic investing in a traditional way. But in a quantitative way, what we do is we know the index membership. Using index membership, we are able to make a decent estimate about what it would have been. Had this composition remained same in the past, how this index would have performed. That gives us a little bit intelligent way of estimating and analyzing correlations and analyzing momentum and so on. So yeah, so the short answer is we make an estimate of what the index would have been based on the present composition.
okay. Okay, another one is, what is the expected churn in the portfolio?
Uh, Great question. So we actually, while it's a momentum portfolio, we prioritize persistence as well. So momentum will drive you to top three, whereas persistence will say, is it worth changing, right? So it will also bring in other perspective of stability, which is, is the regime stable enough for this theme? Is the volatility stable enough for this theme? And if it is stable, then momentum is pursued. So overall, the attempt is to limit churn, and also that is one aspect. The second aspect is it is a monthly review portfolio. So all our other strategies are typically monthly rotation. So with monthly rotation and three alone and prioritizing persistence, this is going to be a fairly moderate churn portfolio, not very high churn.
Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat. So we can take the last one that we got as a part of registration, Pankaj.
Yeah.
So the question is this a good time to invest? I think you also showed in your market review that there's a lot of volatility. So can you
Yeah.
just, yeah,
So,
give that?
if you see the last 12 months, there are three inflection points. So, the first inflection point was September of last year. That is when equities came under pressure. The second inflection point is March of this year, where equities found support and they started recovering. And the third is when gold stagnated. So, actually, now we are at a stage where equities are rising and gold has stagnated. And our algorithms have already allocated to equities. So according to our algorithm, there's a time to stay invested in equities. So yes, it is a good time to invest. Because also the other way, uh, we've seen consolidation of last 1 year. So whatever concerns people might have had about overvaluations, those concerns have got eased. The next rally hasn't started. So it's a time in between where there is evidence that bounce back has started, and a major new rally hasn't happened yet. So yes, is a right window to invest in.
Okay. Thanks, Pankaj. Then I think with that, it brings us to the end of this webinar. I would really like to thank all of you for joining this, giving us time on a Sunday. We really appreciate it. We hope that you found it useful, and we really encourage you to check out the Sprint Thematic Stocks portfolio. Pankaj, you want to add anything?
I just say the same thing. Thank you so much for taking time on a Sunday. Really appreciate you taking time. We have this promotional limited time offer going on. Please make use of this. If there are any questions that are still unanswered, please feel free to reach out to us via email, or you could also set up one-to-one meetings with us. On the right side, you see this QR code. You can scan and get connected with me on LinkedIn if you want. We are fairly active on LinkedIn and share updates there. Lastly, this is our first ever webinar. and we would really love your feedback. Do share with us what you liked, what we could have done better. And going forward, we'll try to incorporate your feedback in the next webinar. So thanks for joining and hope you have a good Sunday ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayesh, and thank you, Avinash, for your feedback. And thank you, everyone, for joining. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.